And welcome, everybody, to the 132nd episode of the Fact Is Podcast. We're your host, Nate Moses. Ryan, glad to have you back, my man. Yeah, we enjoyed having you here, so glad you're here. And just so everybody knows as well, I know everybody enjoyed having Stuart on here as well, so we are coming up with a method to have all three of us live on the podcast.
Don't you worry, I'm still here.
And he is still here. He is... Yeah, he is...
That's all.
He's enjoying himself back there, helping us out with the technological side of it
Can
all.
somebody untie my hands?
Y'all didn't hear that. Ryan, how's it been, man? It's been a while. How you been doing? Love the hat. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
The heat here. I had to take a...
Oh no. Are they not? Scroll down. Crap. That's what it is. Unclick that. Oh, crap. Double click on the mics, too.
No.
Yeah, double click on that. Double click.
Technical
Device. Go device.
Fact is,
Device.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not working.
Just make sure you give us a like, share, and follow. And while you're in here, give us a comment. Am I fixed?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fixed.
Now I am.
All right, so now we're running with all steam ahead here.
Now we're golden.
I would say that we're super freaks, but
Super freaky.
all right, let me start over.
I hate us.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Mays. I'm back on the podcast. So I had to take a little hiatus. Had my son.
Congratulations.
Little Patrick. He's doing well. He's gaining weight. He's growing. So everything is looking great with him. And then I got a tattoo last week. So
Love it.
yeah, so I got a little more of the filled in. You who care. But yeah, it's been a wild ride of a couple of weeks here. So
It has been.
good to be back though. It feels like home.
It's great to be back, and then all of a sudden next week we are going to be taking another hiatus.
I will not be.
No, you do it. But yeah, so welcome back, man. Glad to have you. Stuart, thank you for what you're doing back there. And everybody across all of our live platforms right now, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all of you all. Thank you so much. Can't thank you all enough. So
Thank you for all of your support.
you know, with that being said, Ryan, I'm about ready to start all this up if you are, my friend.
Let's get to it.
Let's get right to it. So let's talk about the U.S. Some blazing heat, smoky air, and tropical storm all at once, which is just, you know, great for us here in the U.S. Love it. The United States is experiencing with a range of unusual weather, from a tropical storm in Hawaii to record-breaking heat across its Sunbelt states and poor air quality in many areas as smoke from Canadian wildfires wafts across the border.
Look at them being all fancy.
I know, right? As the United States and China, the world's biggest polluters, tried to reach an agreement to cut carbon emissions, Americans experienced a sampler of the extreme weather events and said that scientists say are likely to become more commonplace under fossil fuel-driven climate change. Here are some of the notable weather phenomena striking the United States on Wednesday. So heat wave breaks Arizona record. Massive heat dome parked over the southern and western United States is keeping tens of millions of Americans under extreme heat advisories. The city of Phoenix, Arizona on Tuesday exceeded 110 degrees. That sounds just atrocious.
It's like watching stuff melt.
Yeah, no joke.
You just look outside and you just see stuff melting.
And especially for the 19th day in a row, which the record before that was 18, Arizona's largest utility reported that electricity demand was at an all-time high of 8,191 megawatts on July 15th, mirroring
That's a lot
trends
of
in
megawatts.
Texas. That is a lot. Central Texas,
They
an
need some
area
solar out there.
stretching from San Antonio north to Dallas, is forecast to reach 105 degrees or higher over the next 2 days. Yeah, I thought they had like solar farms out there. The hottest spot in the United States on Tuesday is expected to be Death Valley, California, where the temperatures at the Visitors Center at Death Valley were expected to reach 122 degrees. The all-time high for Death Valley is 134, which is also the hottest temperature ever recorded on the Earth's surface.
Why they call it Death Valley.
I guess so. Poor
Why
air
they
quality.
call it Death Valley.
So as you all know, of course, we are getting the smoke coming from the Canadian wildfires that
it's
we touched
wafting.
up on. It's wafting over here. And then kind of touching up on the last bit of that. So the winds are about 10,000 to 15,000 feet above the ground, and other weather patterns can move the smoke 500 miles a day. So that's why it's continuing to just flood the U.S.
Smack us.
And
I
then,
know, walking outside the other day, I was like,
oh, I know.
let's go for a run.
And being that where we are, you wouldn't think it would hit us as hard, but
Oh, dude.
still.
I mean, you could barely see the mountains the other day.
Oh yeah, it's getting smoky. And then tropical storms and floods. So Hawaii's Big Island was under a tropical storm warning early Tuesday morning as it braced for tropical storm Calvin, expected to bring as much as 8 inches of rain, wind, and gust up to 40 miles per hour. Nearly 5,000 miles in the northeast in Vermont, a flood watch was in effect for central parts of the state, including the capital of Montpelier, that were inundated by high water and after torrential rainfall last week. So wild weather going across the U.S. Hence the title.
I mean, is it any more wild than what is normal though? Like,
Nah.
I mean, yeah, it sounds crazy, but like, you know, Arizona has experienced 18 days of crazy heat before,
Right.
and it's at 19, so it's not like it's way out of the normal. Yeah, it broke the record, but Death Valley, you know, it's gotten up to what did it say, 132 degrees?
132, and I think it's hit
Was that
125 or something.
123, I think is what it
Something
said.
like that.
Vermont's also had some crazy flooding as well.
Vermont's had some crazy flooding. Ohio had a train wreck. I mean, it's been nuts. It's
Yeah,
been
it
nuts
has.
out there. What happened?
Yeah.
I come on. I get off the fact is for like 3 weeks, and the
And
world
then
goes to
everything
hell.
goes to hell. It's yeah. So I guess it's like you said. You know, is it actually out of the norm, or is it just that it gets reported on a lot more as well? You know, and granted, whether you want to call it from, you know, climate change issues, what have you, you know, it's still not necessarily like the extreme of these norms. So I see what you're saying. We're not
Yeah,
hitting like
we're not-
extreme
It's
thresholds
not-
and things of that nature.
It's not crazy extreme.
Yeah.
So the thing that really I saw the other day on the old TikTok here was that a senator was grilling John Kerry, and it was talking about climate change and stuff like that. And he actually pulled up a graph that showed that temperatures globally have actually been cooler in since the last El Nino, which was in 2015,
Right.
than have been in the last 100 years. So on average, global temperatures have been cooler than they have been in the last 100 years.
Right.
So one question that he did propose is, what happens when we eliminate all the carbon? Because plant life survives because of CO2.
Right.
So, it's kind of, I don't know, man. It's hard because you have this huge part of the scientific community that is saying climate change is real. Climate change is real. Like this, if we don't do something about this, it's going to be an existential threat. Then on the other hand, you have, data that's showing that climate hasn't really changed a whole lot.
Right.
And it's just, who do you believe? Back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, you had scientists out here saying that cigarettes were good for you. So
True that.
it's, I mean, who do you believe? Just in 2020, 2021, had people pushing a V word that may or may not have been good for you as well. So it's really tough. What I would say is I encourage every single person who is tuning in to do your own research and then come to your own conclusions.
Yeah.
Because there's a wealth of data out there. Go check it out. Go read through it and make sure you're getting your data from a good source.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my take with the whole Almost completely screwed up that
You
sentence.
almost said global warming. That's not the correct term anymore.
I guess my whole thing with the climate change situation that we got going on is this. Clearly, like, I kind of picture the world as, let's just say, like the human body. If you're going to give the human body like cigarette smoke or nicotine or something, right, it's going to create obviously disturbances within your body, things that are going to be out of normal, out of whack. Not saying, I guess ultimately what it comes down to is what we're doing in Earth is not maybe the best thing long term wise. I do believe we can make changes, but I also am not a big believer in like this huge EV movement, everything going electric, when we still have fossil fuels, because in reality, when you
I mean,
look
it
at
needs
like
to be
batteries,
a phase out. It
yeah,
doesn't need to be
exactly.
a abrupt.
It doesn't
halt.
need to be cold turkey.
Yeah.
Like if you're quitting cigarettes, you're not doing it right away. You're quitting slowly.
Well, the other thing is this: if we just dumped money and technology or research and innovation into solar capacities,
Right.
we would literally have an energy source that would never run out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it would never run out. The other thing that we could look at is hydrogen. Like that's another. I to this day don't understand why hydrogen is not the form fuel that we want to use, the most prevalent form, because hydrogen is found all over the earth.
Right.
It's like, I mean, you think about what water is, right? H2O, hydrogen dioxide. So hydrogen's in water. And then the byproduct of hydrogen combustion is water. So why aren't we doing that? I mean, we have oceans, huge oceans that cover the entire planet.
Right.
We would never run out of hydrogen.
Yeah.
Ever.
And I figure if you use those two sources, I mean, those are going to be
The
your best
sun and
renewable
water.
sources. Yeah, we have all of that.
What are we doing?
So it looks like I did.
Hey, I did. Oh, sorry.
No,
I didn't
go
mean to
ahead.
cut you off. I did see a really interesting stat. The sun hits the earth with enough energy at high noon. If we could capture the energy the earth is being hit with,
Right.
if we could capture 100% of it, it would power all of humanity for the next trillion years or something.
That would be
like
incredible.
Just from one day.
Well, the sun
Obviously,
is.
we're never going to capture 100%, but that's how much energy is hitting the earth.
The sun is just nothing but a huge ball of energy. I mean, that's essentially what a star
It's
is.
just a huge fusion reaction.
Yeah. So, crazy article I just got sent here though. So the Earth is getting hotter. How heat domes and El Nino and green gases all play a part. So I do want to put this in the chat. I'm not going to go over it too much, but basically it's saying that record high temperatures have been smashed in the U.S. and stretches of hot days have persisted longer than ever this July. So, and again, like if something like in Arizona continues, if it's like, ends up hitting 50 days and it's like, okay, whoa,
Yeah.
out of the
Obviously.
19.
Obviously.
But yeah, so it looks like
then we can sit back and say, oh, okay, this is out of the ordinary.
it looks like that 18-day record was set in 1974. So you're looking at 30, 40
Is
ish.
that back when they were promoting global warming?
Yeah, 74. I was not alive. I cannot confirm nor deny.
I can confirm nor deny that they were promoting global warming in the 70s, but I believe that's what it was.
It looks like Miami hit
Maybe
its
it was 80s.
36th consecutive day with the temperature of 100 or higher. Phoenix, of course, 20-day. China set a record at 126 degrees, and Rome set a new high record on Tuesday of 109. Goodness. So, yeah, a lot of information out there. Like we said though, just make sure you do your own research. Make sure you look at it all and kind of just come to your own conclusions.
Have you all seen the White House talking about how they might reflect the sunlight?
I have not seen that. What is that about?
Oh, there's just talks about the White House reflecting sunlight, possibly.
Oh, interesting. Like trying to
the house itself or like the government?
Just yeah.
Are they trying to like decrease the amount of heat that's coming from the sun, essentially?
I guess.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
interesting.
I did see something about that. I think that was with the not Halo, but the climate control program. That's
everybody calls HARP.
HARP.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would do it, but I guess they'd work with scientists and stuff.
Basically, what I saw was that they would try to create clouds that had a chemical in them that would actually reflect sunlight. Also, if you go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theorists, the current Canadian wildfires are an attempt to cool down the Earth.
Interesting.
Take that for
interesting
as far as it'll
theories
throw.
there. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, because there are a lot of talks about like HARP stands for the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. There's conspiracy theories that HARP like can control weather and things like of that nature.
Well, there has been conspiracy theories out there that they are trying to control the weather, and everybody was like, no way. And then NASA put out footage of them creating rain. They know how to make clouds.
Wow.
And create rain.
Right.
You can YouTube that like in a second.
Yeah.
So NASA has this huge machine. I think it's at Andrews Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it does is it just creates just this monster cloud, and monster by human standards, but not by Earth standards.
Right.
And literally within like 10 minutes of creating the cloud, it rains.
Interesting.
So there is definitely some weather manipulation at play.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll want to do as much as they possibly can to keep the weather to a degree as to where obviously humans can still sustain life on here.
Well, I mean, have you seen the scale of civilizations? There's 4 different levels to civilization. Like a level 1 civilization can control the climate on its own planet, and harness all the energy of the planet.
Right.
2 is the solar system.
Are they the Kardashev scale?
I was not gonna try to attempt to say that name right off the top of my head. But yeah, no, I think it's the Kardashev.
Kardashev, yeah.
But yeah, he basically like level 2 controls the solar system, level 3 controls the galaxy, and then level 4 omnipresent.
Interesting.
It's nuts.
Yeah, I would have to look into that.
Maybe level 2 is like they can actually harness all of their stars,
their entire
energy.
Star, and then it looks
level
like
3 is solar system, and level 4 is
becomes
galaxy.
galactic traversers. So that's type 3, and then type 4 too advanced and didn't go beyond type 3. Type 4 civilization was
Universal?
too advanced. Yeah, interesting.
Godlike.
Interesting. So
That's pretty nuts, isn't it?
something to read about. I mean, it's definitely interesting things to talk about, but destroy the land and buy it up for pennies is one comment on TikTok. Interesting thought. But anyways, yeah, so weather around the world, around the US, wild. So just keep on top of that, and do anything you can to Mother Nature trying to kill a virus. We are the virus.
It's wild like nature.
Oh, I love it. All right, cool. On to the next one. So let's talk about this next one. This is a pretty big one. Just breaking news on this one. So Michigan charges 16 fake electors for Donald Trump with election law and forgery felonies. Michigan's attorney general filed felony charges Tuesday against 16 Republicans who acted as fake electors for then-President Donald Trump in 2020, accusing them of submitting false certificates that confirmed they were legitimate electors despite Joe Biden's victory in the state. Attorney General Donna Nessel, a Democrat, announced Tuesday that all 16 people would face 8 criminal charges, including forgery and conspiracy to commit election forgery. The top charges carry a maximum penalty of 14 years in prison. The group includes the head of the Republican National Committee chapter in Michigan, Kathy Burden, as well as former co-chair of Michigan Republican Party, Meshawn Maddock, and Shelby Township Clerk Stan Grott. So in 7 battleground states, including Michigan, supporters of Trump signed certificates that falsely stated he won their states, not Biden. Fake certificates were ignored, but the attempt has been subject to investigations, including by the House committee that investigated January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. The fake electors' actions undermine the public's faith in the integrity of our elections, and we believe also plainly violated the laws by which we administer our elections in Michigan. The 16 individuals are set to appear for an arraignment in Ingham County at a date provided by the court. Phone and email messages seeking comment Tuesday from several people charged were not immediately returned. One of those charged, John Haggard, 82 years old, on Tuesday, that he didn't believe he did anything wrong. Did I do anything illegal? No, Haggard said. And GOP State Senator Ed McBroom, who chaired a GOP-led Senate panel to investigate Michigan's 2020 presidential election that found no wrongdoing, said he previously spoke with one of the fake electors. It was clear McBroom said that the effort was organized by people who put themselves in a position of authority, imposing themselves as the ones who knew what they were doing. They were wrong, McBroom told AP, and other people followed them when they shouldn't have. So, interesting thoughts here. Wow. 16 individuals. That's a lot of people to be trying to fake or forge, I guess, saying who won the election there.
My dad has an old saying for stuff like this.
Yeah.
Called play stupid games,
win stupid prizes. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain point where if the court system keeps shutting down all legitimate trials saying, hey, obviously Biden won, as frustrating as it may be for a lot of people, who don't. And again, there's a lot of things to take in consideration. Yeah, there's a lot of things, everybody's like, oh, Biden should, there's no way he won, how did he get all these votes, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get your frustrations, but you got to remember, people don't vote based off their conscience anymore. People vote based off who they hate more. And that's just how it is, man. It's not,
it's like, I don't agree with this person at all, but I hate the other one.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for this person.
So there's that. Because if we were all voting based off our conscience, it's very clear that there should have been a different person that was elected back in the
Libertarian Party.
That's exactly right. If anybody was, actually paying attention to it. But that's the hard part about politics is it's tough getting people involved. I know. Especially when he collapsed on that stage. Oh, my goodness.
That was so great.
So, yeah, crazy incident there. Do you all have any comments about these 16 individuals besides the fact that they're potentially screwed for 14 years?
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Stu, any thoughts?
Still waiting for the evidence that the election was rigged, like Trump says so.
Yeah, I mean...
Trump says a lot of things.
It's a lot of words there. Yeah, I mean...
Bigley was my favorite.
Bigley.
We won. Bigley.
It's yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to find any evidence at this point of fraud or anything of that nature, but you will see a huge, I think, at least, turnout of individuals basically watching what's going to happen this next election. I feel like.
Unless I'm missing, maybe the evidence is right in front of my face and somebody has it and they just need to send it to me.
Right.
But it's just amazing to me how Trump's following can believe this thing. What's it going on, 3 years now? And they can just believe this thing like it's fact. And I haven't seen any evidence for it.
Yeah, it's sometimes people don't believe their, I mean, faith is not based off of fact. Faith is, based off something else.
You gotta have faith.
And their faith is that he won, I guess. I can't tell you.
Now, here's the crazy part, though. In 2024, I think the Democrats are going to have 85 plus million to beat him.
They're going to have a lot. And especially, and if he doesn't get charged, obviously, with any kind of felonies, they're going to have to do a lot because there's going to be a lot of people coming back out like, oh, they were trying to take him down and this, that, and the other.
If he doesn't get convicted of any of these crimes, then it's going to be an uphill battle for the Democrats.
Yeah, I can believe that. It'll be an interesting year for the election,
It's going to be wild.
It will be absolutely wild.
I can't wait to cover it.
We'll be sitting here updating everybody every week.
It's going to be like the Wild West.
Depending on when election night is as well, we might even do like I'd
be down to do a
live stream, maybe a little bit of bourbon.
I think it could
just
change a lot if we have like 4 parties on the ballot. I think the Green Party might have somebody, and then if the Libertarian Party pushes forward a candidate, we might have 4 on the ballot.
And I would love to be able to say that's a reality, But the truth is, until we can even get a third party up on that debating stage, none of this is going to matter.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
I don't know if they'll debate, but was
Man, wouldn't that be
2016? 2016 they had 4, didn't they? Was it
Was
Gary Johnson and then
who's
Jill
the other one?
Stein?
yeah, I think
Oh
you're right.
yeah,
Actually,
Green Party had Jill Stein.
yeah, and then 2020 they had 3.
Yeah,
Which the
Joe Jorgensen.
Democrats
Joe
blame
Jorgensen.
for that reason. That's why Hillary Clinton lost, because a lot of people voted for Jill Stein.
Jill Stein, yeah. Which, I mean, I wouldn't say is a bad thing necessarily. I'm not a big fan of the Clinton family. I like Bill when he was in the White House there for a little bit. He had great policies, and then
have sexual relations with that there Monica Lewinsky.
that's where he screwed himself.
And I did not ride Jeffrey Epstein's plane 47 times either.
Oh man,
False.
and
False.
yeah, that's another crazy thing to think about. Which, speaking of, for anybody, before we transition into the next article, Sounds of Freedom.
I thought Jeffrey was the Toys R Us mascot.
Sounds of
See what I did
Freedom.
there?
I see what you
I
did there.
That's a good segue into Sound of Freedom.
You all, from my understanding, have to go see this movie. I will be going to see it this weekend. So I can't sit here and talk to the legitimacy of how good it is, but from what I've heard, word of mouth, people need to go see this movie.
My mom went and saw it, and she was like, as far as entertainment value goes, it's not an entertaining film,
Not supposed to be.
but it hits you in the freaking core.
Yeah, I've had some friends say the entire movie theater was just quiet and walked out. And, you know, you don't have that. Like the last one that I walked out where everybody was quiet was American Sniper, you know, where they had the movie over Chris Kyle. That was the last movie that I watched. And that was, God, when did that come out? 2014? Might even been earlier than that. And that's the last movie that I've ever left
Bradley
that people
Cooper
were
in
just
that?
quiet. Yeah, he was the main actor. So, yeah, highly suggest everybody
Major
goes and sees
cinephile
that.
over here. Major.
Love movies. But without further ado, is everybody good on the Michigan topic? 16
I believe so.
fake electors, they're all going to prison.
Well, maybe.
Maybe we'll see what happens. We'll keep
It
up
could
with
be. It could be just smoke being blown.
it. Yeah, just, you know, smoke and mirrors. Who knows? So,
Dude, things get wild when it gets close to elections. I
It
love
does.
it. I
It
love
does.
it so
And
much.
everybody starts coming after each other, seeing what they can do to, you know, destroy.
Everybody pokes and prods.
Yeah. So this individual on TikTok, Copperhead, is asking, where can you stream the movie? That's the crazy part. So real quick, just kind
You
of
can
touching
go
back
see
up
it
on
for
it.
free.
You can go see it in movie theaters. You can go see it for free in select areas. But the reason why it's, you know, people are saying, oh, well, I can just stream it, right? No, you cannot. The movie's been made for like 3 years. The problem is they haven't been able to get it out on any streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, any of that stuff. So
Netflix, controversially though, did pick up Cuties.
interesting, right? So like
But
you're
they
not
won't
willing to pick up
this
exactly a movie about
child predators.
yeah, child predators, but you're willing to pick up a movie like Cuties, which
Will you explain what Cuties is?
yeah,
Cuties was the exploitation of young children in beauty pageants, and they
Yes.
were like, I never saw it because once I heard about it, I was like, oh my god, that's kind of sickening.
yeah,
But basically, in the movie, from the things that I've watched and listened to that have covered it, these kids, you know, 4 to I think 8 years old, were basically half naked in the movie the entire time, in like little skimpy outfits and things like that. And it was basically, I think, just following beauty pageants or something.
essentially, and it's showing. I believe the age was like anywhere between like 5 to 11, but yeah, close
Okay, so I was
enough.
off on that.
Yeah,
But-
close enough. But it's like, so yeah, basically follows the life of a specific 11-year-old girl, from my understanding. I kind of read the synopsis of it, but I never actually watched it myself just because I couldn't bring myself to watch it either. But yeah, it was basically following around these children in these beauty pageants, and they were talking about, or they were, yeah, I mean, they were putting them in like, you know how like cheerleaders in high school and college up into the professional athletic part of it. I mean, they're wearing what I mean. A lot of people would be like, why are they wearing that really skimpy stuff? And you're looking at a child like that, even.
Yeah.
And it's even when you go to high school, because they're still not above the age of 18. They're still a child. So it's interesting to see how they adapted that, but they wouldn't take up Sounds of Freedom. So just something to keep in mind, especially with your streaming services. And I had a couple friends talk to me about this today, and they were like, I mean, it's crazy that they wouldn't give it the time of day, but what do we do about it? And I said, honestly, there's nothing you're going to be able to do until the consumer realizes the amount of influence and value that we give to these companies.
I saw a TikTok last night with I shared it with you guys. Blake Lively.
Yeah.
And she's doing work with the child recovery. What is it? Child recovery collaborative or something like that.
Yeah.
And they've already helped apprehend 9,000 child predators.
That's incredible.
9,000. And what she was talking about in that TikTok is quite honestly disturbing. Like they saw images of children being abused that still had umbilical cord. Like still attached to the umbilical cord.
Wild.
Man.
And that's the thing, like a child is the most innocent thing that you can have on this planet. I mean, a child is just born. Yeah, like they're just born. There's not like they have to look towards you for survival.
How can people?
Yeah, so it's very disturbing when you talk about anything with children. It's a very hard topic, because people get very emotional, and it's very understanding because again, it involves children.
Especially if you're someone who has children, like you're just hearing this news and it's just.
Oh, I can imagine.
Like as a father, I'm just every time I hear something about it, I'm just oh my God. And actually locally, we just had somebody who was kind of a prominent figure in the local community got busted and had over 170 counts of possession of child pornography, distribution of child pornography. Luckily they caught him and he was sentenced, and he will be spending the rest of his life in jail.
Good. Yeah.
It also kind of ties back into Epstein, how there's this big secret and who was involved with that. There's no investigations into who he was trafficking to.
That's still a huge conversation. I don't understand how we're not looking into who was connected with Epstein and how he got connected. Way too many. Whether it's from Hollywood, politically, it doesn't matter. There needs to be accountability across that board. And until somebody does, we're just going to keep seeing this stuff kind of run rampant. So it's time for the American people to see how valuable they are as a consumer in this world, so we can actually start to fight back with knowledge.
What did Sound of Freedom say that 2 million kids are abducted and put into child sex slavery per year?
And if I'm not mistaken, it's like $150 billion industry. $150 billion to traffic children.
If this is something that you feel strongly about, the Child Rescue Collaborative Coalition, that's what it is. Child Rescue Coalition. Blake Lively is a part of that, so I'm assuming probably her husband Ryan Reynolds is a part of that as well. I did a little research into them. They sound like a good organization that is trying to do good. Also, Ashton Kutcher, he has a organization that basically tries to find child pornography files online and flag them so that they can get taken down and can't share the files and things like that.
That's awesome.
And I know Ashton Kutcher's been, doing a lot of work in that field for now. It's been like 5 or 6, and he's done a lot. Well, so if you feel strongly about that and you're looking for somewhere to make a donation, I think either one of them would be a good place to do. So you're just gonna have to do a little research. I don't know Ashton Kutcher's company name.
Right.
It sounds like Blake Lively's company with the Child Rescue Coalition is doing.
Hopefully they just combine and make it one huge organization. But so right now, just looking at the Child Rescue Coalition, 3,384 children have been rescued, 14,716 predators arrested, countries worldwide 98, and 735,800 cases of abuse prevented. So let's think about that for a minute. 3,384 children rescued with 14,716 predators arrested. I mean,
But if that 2 million number is accurate, that's not even a scratch.
no,
Not even a scratch.
and it's
We
going
have
to take a lot of work to do. Yeah. And it's
James personal drinks, you owe me a Coke.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got
y'all heard
me.
it. Y'all heard it.
I owe him a Coke. So yeah, good information there. But moving on, let's move on to our next topic because I know that's a pretty heavy one to talk about. Let's talk about the Trump legal woes heating up with the prospect of January 6th indictment. So, former President Trump indicted Tuesday with an indictment on January 6th could be imminent. Why? So why does this matter? Trump, who has already been criminally indicted twice since launching his 2024 campaign, has been the consistent frontrunner in the crowded GOP primary despite numerous legal woes. They're driving the news. Trump wrote on Truth Social on Tuesday that he received a letter from special counsel Jack Smith informing him that he is a target of the grand jury probe in efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The letter, which Trump says he received on Sunday night, gives him 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment. Prosecutors are investigating Trump's efforts to undermine President Biden's 2020 election victory. Trump was indicted in June in the criminal investigation into handling of classified documents after leaving office. The indictment charged Trump with 37 felonies relating to his alleged efforts to obstruct the government's effort to retrieve all the documents. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. A grand jury in Manhattan indicted Trump in March as part of the year's investigation with paid adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Trump was arrested and arraigned and pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records in Manhattan criminal court. Trump faces a separate inquiry related to his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia, where Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is nearing a decision on Trump's alleged efforts to subvert results in the state. Trump earlier this month sought to block Willis from prosecuting him in a case. A move that was unanimously rejected by the Georgia Supreme Court. In another case in New York, Attorney General Laisha James filed a civil lawsuit in September accusing Trump and his family of financial fraud. James alleged the former president falsely inflated his net worth by billions of dollars. If he loses at trial, Trump could face steep fines and restrictions on his ability to do business in New York. So, man, I don't know. He just got to let the 2020 thing go. It's been 3 years out. It's like you're almost going into this next election cycle. Let that go and just focus on your future if you actually want to try to be president of the United States.
Well, the thing is he's already opened the door challenges against the legitimacy of his next presidency if he wins. So, by fighting this hard to try to prove that the election was rigged or false or stolen from him, he has opened the door from just in a really bad way.
Yeah.
Because
shooting himself in the foot.
Kind of. But one thing I will say is what about Hillary and
her email scandals?
Not just that, but also trying to overturn the results of the 2016 election and trying to prove Russian collusion, paying for a false dossier. Like
that did go for year and a half, 2 years probably.
I think it was. I
don't think it was his entire term.
3 years or so.
Was it 3? Might have been 3 up into 2019.
Yeah, COVID was the thing I think that hushed that
kind
up.
of shut that quick. Yeah, because everybody was so concerned about the pandemic.
If they're going after Trump this hard, why is nobody now looking at Hillary as well?
Yeah.
Because the Clinton campaign, they did some sketchy stuff back in 2016. They basically booted the Democratic National Convention, basically booted Bernie Sanders, even though he was winning the popular vote between the candidates.
Should end up winning.
Then, like I said, the Clinton campaign funded a false dossier trying to, do this whole Russian collusion thing. And it has been found to be that the Steele dossier was a false document. So, where is the accountability on both sides?
Right.
Where is Lady Justice wearing her blindfold, holding the balance?
Yeah. No, I agree with you because it's infuriating to see I mean, it is infuriating to see Trump not let this go. But then when you think back into 2016, they did a lot to try to destroy his reputation, which ended up being false, right? So I can understand the push on both sides. Or, well, no, I mean, I can't. Wherever it originated, I can't understand that. Because at this point, politics has become nothing but dogging on your opponent. It's become nothing but trying to pick up dirt and talk about how bad they are instead of what you're looking to do for the people. And that's what gets old.
Like trying to get that gotcha moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
It really is.
Like I love election years. I love election cycles. Just because of all the crazy stuff that comes out. But when you sit back and you think about like all the crazy stuff that comes out, it's like, man, this is exhausting. Trying to keep up with all of it, trying to, what's real, what's not real. I mean, literally our podcast was born because of the 2020 election and not knowing what information was correct, what information was incorrect, what was false, what was not false, so that's why we started what we're doing here.
Yeah. And we're here trying to promote factual information and truth, because that's what we want here.
Because the truth will set you free.
I love it.
And looking on both sides and not just one side.
Oh, is that it?
Yes.
Oh,
I thought you were going to keep
somewhere
going.
with that.
Yeah,
I was like,
I thought he was going to keep
This
going.
dude's about to hit us with some knowledge.
I mean, I can. Give me a second.
Yeah, right?
Go ahead.
No, but just, yeah, we're going to look at both sides, not just shoot one-sided propaganda down your throat. And, yeah, we're going to question if one side is getting prosecuted for something that the other side's doing, then it should be a balanced universe, and criminals should be held accountable.
Agreed. Regardless of who they are, and that
Criminals
means
should be held accountable.
That means Hunter Biden shouldn't have got a slap on the wrist. Looking at anybody who gets indicted and anybody who gets found guilty, they shouldn't get a slap on the wrist just because they are,
Who they are.
a figure, in the United States that might be what you would call popular or however you would put it. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. Both sides, doesn't matter who, accountability across the board.
That's why Lady Justice wears a blindfold.
But two things that come to mind as well with like this election stuff is
Right.
in 2000 when Al Gore, the Democrats thought Al Gore won, and they had that recount. I mean,
like the 10 recounts?
I was pretty young at that time, so I don't.
It was Florida recount, wasn't it?
Yeah, the hanging Chad
Yeah.
debacle. Yeah,
Yeah.
was, I think that was like 10 recounts. And it got down to like, I think 500 votes. I think that was the difference.
ridiculous. It was really close.
It was very close.
I think some still think Al Gore won.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, some people still think Trump won.
But then-
It doesn't matter either
Then
way.
I was going to bring up 2016 when there was a lot of Democrats saying that he wasn't a legitimate president.
absolutely.
Yep.
Those videos are still out today. You can go look them up.
Oh, yeah. They were sitting there saying, he's not my president, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, he is. So, tough luck.
But the same could be said for 2020. Those people now are screaming, oh, well, Trump won. Trump was legitimate, blah, blah, blah. And, they refuse to recognize it. Same things happen with Biden.
It's just a never-ending cycle.
And if it keeps on, it's going to lead to bad things. I'm in a singing mood tonight.
I can tell. Get us all those donations up on TikTok. We'll start singing all sorts of songs.
The pipes here, TikTok. I'm trying to show them off, and y'all aren't.
I guess
giving me the
what we
roses
should tell
for
our
it.
audience is when you have these big claims, heavy claims, you need to demand the evidence.
Always need the evidence.
Yeah, because
Don't just believe what some random person is saying on your television.
on TikTok,
Or TikTok, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's here's the thing with these videos on TikTok and all around the web. It's not a bad thing to like pull them up and be like, hey, check this out. But then don't stop there, because it is very clearly that person is trying to deceive you for views.
well, maybe they're not even trying to deceive; they're just trying to get views,
Or just, trying to get views.
and maybe they're misinformed.
Yeah, or maybe they're misinformed, or maybe
There's
they
all kinds
just
of different things.
they're really stuck on one side. It could be somebody who's really far right or really far left.
Yeah, and the other thing about TikTok is like there's a lot of rabbit holes TikTok. I mean, have you ever looked up the flat Earth stuff? Good
Not the flat
God.
Earth, but I love looking up the alien stuff.
Alien. Oh, you said the A word.
Yo, that was great. The A word.
The A.
But
dude,
yeah.
So, oh man, so I might have actually accidentally scared my daughter. She was like, "Dad,
Oh, yeah, you
Dad,
told
are
us.
aliens real?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And she was like,
What?
"Wait, what?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, there's a lot of files that are coming out that there's a bunch of UFOs and we don't know what they do, and they're not, following traditional laws of gravity and things like that, and they seem to not be from this world, so that would be an alien." And she's like, "The aliens are real?" And I'm like, "Oh, sweetie, if they wanted us gone, we'd be gone already."
It's wild how like some people will get afraid of aliens, but not be afraid of like ghosts or demons or something like that. So
But you have to believe in ghosts and demons.
true.
There's actual, I mean, you could say there's evidence of demons. I guess you could also make the case for ghosts,
Yeah.
but Bigfoot,
Bigfoot though.
the pound for pound champion of hide and go seek.
He's really good.
Amazing.
Stuart,
I'm envious.
are we doing the video next or
Yes, sir.
am I
let's get
doing
off this tirade of conspiracy theories
or
here.
am I doing the
Project Looking Glass.
am I doing the email?
Video, sir.
Video first. All right. Everybody,
We
please
got a treat for you tonight.
enjoy this video. If you're wondering what it is the whistleblower coming out and talking about
Two whistleblowers.
two whistleblowers. I apologize. Two whistleblowers coming out and talking about the FBI investigation into the Biden family. So let's take a look.
Also, before we get into it, what party do they claim to be a part of?
One of them I know is a Democrat. Interesting.
Tip my hat to you, sir. You're a brave person.
Let's watch this.
To our website, cspan.org. And we take you live now to Capitol Hill, where two IRS whistleblowers testify on the ongoing investigation into the Biden family. Live coverage of this House Oversight Committee hearing on C-SPAN 3.
I'm just gonna go ahead and try to speed it up to where they're doing it, where they start it.
And working with the Oversight Committee on this investigation. This is an important joint effort that shows the American people that accountability matters regardless of your last name. For this hearing, opening statements will be limited to 10 minutes for the chair and 10 minutes for the ranking member. I now recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Since assuming our Republican majority in January, the House Oversight Committee has made historically fast progress in our investigation into the Biden family's influence peddling schemes. In just 6 months, we have obtained thousands of pages of financial records. This includes bank records for Biden family associates and suspicious activity reports generated by the Bidens and their associates' high-dollar or foreign business transactions. What these records reveal is astonishing. The Bidens created over 20 shell companies, most of which were created when Joe Biden was vice president. Bank records so far show the Biden family, their business associates, and their companies received over $10 million from foreign nationals and related companies. A lot of this money poured in while Joe Biden was vice president. Despite creating many companies after Vice President took office, the Biden family used associates companies to receive millions of dollars from foreign companies in China, Ukraine, and Romania. After foreign companies sent money to business associates' companies, the Bidens then received incremental payments over time to various different bank accounts. These complicated financial transactions were used deliberately to conceal the source of funds and total amounts. No normal business operates like this. What were the Bidens selling? Nothing but influence and access to the Biden network. This is an influence peddling scheme to enrich the Bidens. We need to know whether Joe Biden is compromised by these schemes and if our national security is threatened. During our investigation, our committee became aware through whistleblower disclosures provided to Senator Chuck Grassley that the FBI had an unclassified record that details an extortion and bribery scheme involving then Vice President Biden and a Burisma executive. This record was generated by a trusted confidential human source that the FBI has used for over a decade. It memorializes the source's conversations with the Burisma executive who claimed that he paid Joe Biden $5 million in exchange for certain actions. The Burisma executive told the confidential human source that he didn't pay the, quote, big guy, end quote, directly, but that he used so many bank accounts that it would take 10 years to unravel.
And I'm just going to go find where the whistleblowers start talking.
Of this committee and for the American people. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Let the record show that the witnesses all answered in the affirmative. We appreciate you being here today and look forward to your testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statements and they will appear in full in the hearing record. Please press the button on your microphone in front of you so that it's on and the members can hear you. I recognize Mr. Ziegler to please begin his opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman Comer, Chairman Smith, Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Raskin, and members of the committee. Today I sit here before you not as a hero or a victim, but as a whistleblower compelled to disclose the truth. That said, in coming forward, I believe I'm risking my career, my reputation, and my casework outside of the investigation we are here to discuss. I ultimately made the decision to come forward after what I believe were multiple attempts at blowing the whistle in the Internal Revenue Service, at the Internal Revenue Service. No one should be above the law, regardless of your political affiliation. I humbly view my role here today as providing the facts as I best understood them and to let Congress and the administration and the public consider those facts and determine the best path forward. I recognize why I was present at the start of this investigation and was closely involved with the investigation for roughly 5 years. I'm just a part of the story. Others, including my colleague and Supervisor Gary Shapley, who is here with me today, have their own views and understandings of what took place during this investigation. I've been an agent with the IRS since 2010. In 2007, I received my undergraduate degree from Ohio University, my MBA from John Carroll University. Prior to starting my career at the IRS, I worked at Ernst & Young as an external auditor.
All right, so that was a very, very long video. It was a 6-hour video. We just wanted to play you some snippets there so you get an understanding. So right here, Mr. Joseph Ziegler, he is one of the whistleblowers. He's also considered himself a Democrat. He's a registered Democrat. So it's not necessarily, you know, a Republican whistleblower just coming out saying, hey, blah, 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 this, right? This is an actual somebody part of Biden's party who is coming out saying that essentially when you...
Well, he's not a part of Biden's party. He just
votes, votes for him, registered that way. I apologize. Yeah, let me refer to it that way. But essentially coming out saying he doesn't care about a political affiliation right now. He just believes that people need to be held accountable regardless of their stature and who they are.
I love what he said there. You know, regardless of your political affiliation,
Yeah.
nobody is above the law.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of this. So we definitely wanted to just kind of highlight that for you all. Please make sure you all try to watch as much of that as you can. Granted, it is 6 hours, so I understand it'd be
6 hours.
be very hard to actually keep up with that. And, you know, of course, there will be condensed material out there, so I'm sure everybody can find that. But
Watch the edited stuff, though, because you can edit a video to basically say whatever.
Yep. I mean, they could have said, 5 seconds of something and then explained themselves a whole another 15 after that, but you only got that 5-second snippet. So watch the edited stuff, but there will be some things out there, some more condensed materials, I'd imagine. So just try to keep up with it, see what you can find out about the whistleblowers, whether, how it holds up in the court of law and where we go from here. So really.
I also strive to one day speak like Mr. Comer.
That is a tough.
Listen here, buddy. That is a thick Kentucky accent.
That is a thick Kentucky accent.
Like, who do you think's got the thicker accent between him and Rand? Rand Paul?
Comer.
That's tough.
I call Comer.
You think so?
I put my vote on him.
I'd love to see him in a debate.
Just two thick accents going at each other.
Just going at it.
All right, cool. But so make sure everybody you stay on top of that. Moving forward, let's go ahead and move on to our next article.
To the next topic.
So this one just shows the incompetency of the Pentagon. Love this. So typo and address blamed for millions of U.S. military emails misdirected to Mali. So millions of emails meant for U.S. military personnel were inadvertently sent to email accounts in Mali over the past 10 years due to typos caused by how similar Pentagon email addresses are to the domain of the African country. The misdirected emails included sensitive information such as diplomatic documents, medical data, maps, and photos of installations, identity document information, passwords, tax returns, and hotel reservations for senior officials, according to Johannes Zubier, a Dutch technologist who discovered the problem in 2013. Zubier, who manages Mali's country domain, told the Financial Times that he tried to warn the Pentagon multiple times about the problem in which the email traffic meant for the .mil domain, which ends all U.S. military email addresses, instead goes to the .ml domain, the country identifier for Mali. The Hill has reached out to Zubier, but he did not immediately respond to requests for information.
This is the world
we live in. Asked about the mix-up Monday, Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said that the Defense Department is aware that these unauthorized disclosures of controlled national security information. She stressed that none of the leaked emails that were reported came from DoD email addresses and instead came from employees' personal accounts such as Gmail and Yahoo. Sure. We always discourage people from using their personal emails. Official work should be done on official channels and under official emails. That's something that we've emphasized. She added that after the leak of hundreds of classified top secret documents on the video gamer website Discord earlier this year, the Pentagon implemented policy and training mechanisms on the DoD systems. As part of that, the individual mistakenly sends a message from an MIL to an email address to an ML email address. It will bounce back, so a DoD email address will not be able to send that email. Still, emails meant for Pentagon employees continue to flow. Whoa, what just happened there? Sorry, this article reset on me.
On TV.
Okay, let's just go here. Still, emails meant for Pentagon employee continue to flow to Mali's domain, according to Zubier. He told the Times he has been collecting misdirected emails since January to warn the U.S. officials of the risk, and earlier this month sent a letter cautioning the risk is real and could be exploited by adversaries of the U.S. He said he has around 117,000 misdirected messages, including nearly 1,000 that arrived July 12th. The situation is made more urgent Monday as Zubier was set to lose control of the ML domain, which was due to revert to Mali's government. The Western Africa nation is an ally with Russia and will now be able to collect the mistakenly sent emails. The country did not respond to the Times' request for comment. While most of the emails are spam, some hold information on current U.S. military personnel, contractors, and their families. I would immediately move anybody who has been compromised due to this email mistake.
That's
and I would
a major undertaking.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And these are the people we trust with our money.
117,000 emails.
These are the people that we trust to take care of our finances. And this is what happens. Somebody explain that to me, because I don't even know what to say anymore to defend our country or our those who are making these very little mistakes. I mean, this is just unacceptable, man. Unacceptable.
You'd be fired
in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? As a private employee, I would have been fired in a heartbeat.
Any normal person would have been fired.
World we live in, gentlemen.
The world we live in.
Do any comments on this one?
Incompetence.
There it is.
Dude, I love your response.
Incompetence.
Short,
I mean, week
but, like,
after week,
straight to the point.
Week after week, do we really have faith in any of these institutions? I mean,
No,
not
Nate,
anymore.
we just went over it last week. The percentage of people that still have faith in these institutions.
Yeah, very little.
27%.
Yeah, very little. So,
well, this doesn't do anything to add to that.
not necessarily helping your case there, my friend. I don't know. This is
Jeez.
so.
That's. I mean, if it wasn't so terrifying, it'd be funny.
If it wasn't so terrifying, but unfortunately, this is pretty.
Yeah,
terrifying.
it's like you shake your head, but it's kind of sad. Like, this is serious.
I mean, it is. That's the crazy part, but it's. I don't even know how to take it anymore. So there's that, everyone. Hopefully we can start finding competent people to handle email addresses, because obviously Hillary Clinton. We were both going to the same place,
I mean,
because
she knows
obviously
what to do
Hillary
with-
couldn't.
She knows what to do with bad emails.
She knows how
You
to
just
delete
'em.
emails. Yeah. I love it. All right. So moving forward from the incompetence, let's talk about.
Moving forward from the incompetence, let's go into more incompetence.
Yeah, the U.S. House passes defense bill authorizing record spending. Senate debate next.
More
So,
incompetence.
the U.S. House of Representatives passed its version of a sweeping bill setting policy for the Department of Defense on Friday, but the must-pass bill's chance of becoming law were uncertain after Republicans added a series of culturally conservative amendments. Ugh. The Fiscal 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, which sets policy for the Pentagon and authorizes $886 billion in spending, was approved 219 to 210. Which, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, did the Pentagon not just lose another couple trillion that they're unable to account for with the DoD? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that just happened a couple days ago as well.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see there. The vote was largely along party lines, a departure from the typical bipartisan support for a bill that has passed every year since 1961. The House measure includes a pay raise for members of military initiatives to counter China and an additional $300 million to support Ukraine. Oh, wow, the money we're giving away. During debate, Democrats warned that the most of them would not support the NDAA after the Republican majority House voted almost exclusively along party lines on Thursday night for amendments on hot-button social issues pushed by the party's hard-right flank. The House voted 221 to 213 for an amendment that would reverse the Defense Department's policy of reimbursing expenses for service members who travel to obtain an abortion. Last year, the U.S. Supreme Court ended the landmark Roe v. Wade, establishing a national right to abortion. The Pentagon total reimbursement policy is aimed at helping those in the military or family members who are seeking an abortion but stationed in states that have outlawed it. House Republicans today passed an NDAA that increases our military's lethality and decreases the wokeness that has been infused in its ranks in recent years, said Republican Representative Barry Loudermilk, referring to the conservative amendments that were approved. So, Representative Adam Smith, the senior Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, warned we're going to have fewer qualified people willing to join the military because of what was passed. The House also voted 222 to 211 to prohibit the Pentagon from paying for gender-affirming surgeries and hormone treatment. Not
Quick
necessarily. Go ahead.
Why would the Pentagon be paying for gender-affirming surgeries?
I guess it's covered under insurance. But you know what's crazy? You know what's not covered under insurance? Counseling, mental health help. Did you know that most counseling appointments, or if you're going, again, going to get mental health help through a therapist or counselor, you're looking at anywhere above $100 per session, and that's if you're lucky. So that's when you hit your deductible. So once you hit, most people's average deductible in the country, I'd say, are anywhere about $2,000 to about $4,000. So once you finally hit about $2,000 worth of sessions, with your mental health help, then they'll start to cover most of it. And even then, it's only going to be 80-20.
Yeah.
So there's that. So let's talk about that a little bit. How we're struggling with mental health here in our country, yet we're not actually doing anything to allow people to get help with mental health. Yeah, exactly. So thank you to all the major insurance companies for not helping us. Y'all are great. Upcoming Senate debate. So House Republicans were able to pass their amendments without Democratic support, but such provisions would die in the Senate, where President Joe Biden's fellow Democrats held a 51-49 majority. Debate in the chamber is set to begin on Tuesday. The Senate is expected to pass its version of the NDAA later this month, after which the two chambers will negotiate a compromise that would come up for a vote later this year. The NDAA, one of the only major pieces of legislation Congress passes annually, is closely watched by a broad swath of industry and other interests because it determines everything from purchases of ships and aircraft to pay increases for soldiers and how to address geopolitical threats. The eventual House-Senate conference to hammer out a compromise bill is expected to be particularly contentious. For example, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene on Friday warned that she will still work to delete the authorization of new money for Ukraine. That's my ultimate goal, she told reporters. Senate negotiators were expected to fight hard to retain such funding. So, more to Ukraine. And
$300 billion.
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, Dean came in. Hello, Dean. He said, "What's up, boys? Just wanted to stop by and say hello. I'll have to watch a full episode tomorrow because right now I'm headed to bed. Enjoy your sleepy. Miss you,
Thanks,
Dean.
old faithful.
Miss you."
Sure.
I don't even know what to say about this anymore. Ridiculous amount of money about to be spent again.
If $300 billion gets sent to Ukraine, isn't that a total 400 or 450 billion?
Well, so it was 300 million that's being part of this package.
I thought it was 300 billion.
Million. But the package itself, I accidentally closed out of the article. I don't know why on my screen, but it was, what was the package? 880 billion? Is that what it said?
886 billion.
That's a wild package. I'm shocked they only threw 330 million in there for Ukraine.
Crazy.
But 880 billion. I mean, oh my goodness, we're almost at $1 trillion.
We'll get there.
We'll get there eventually. I'd say within the next 10 years, but like $1 trillion.
I mean, what is 14 billion at this point? That's nothing. We'll just print more.
Damn. We got to start thinking about what we're doing here
Also,
and how
after
we're
the
allowing people to
Pentagon
control our money.
fails 5 audits in a row.
Not to mention Pentagon fails 5 audits in a row and can't, they've been failing since 2001 though. See what I did there?
No, tell me what you did there, Dave. Donald Rumsfeld. I'm not even going to cough. I'm just going to say it. Donald Rumsfeld. 9/11. Look it up.
Check it out. No, but seriously, like we've been failing Pentagon audits for how long? And that's the where the head of like the Department of the DOD's at. This is where all the money flows through. This is where all those decisions are like.
How do we,
and
the fact is, get on a government contract? With them throwing the money around like that, like, let's just get on there. Maybe we'll
be your #1 news source across the United States.
Just get loaned a bunch of money and
No. Just win the contract.
Yeah.
For like some major like military
Media.
news
Yeah.
media or something.
We'll be the largest military media you need. Throw some of them billies around, boy.
Well, they'll throw us a big loan and they'll be like, "Well, how'd you spend the money?" And we'll be like, "We don't know.
Where'd we spend
We
it
don't
at?
know
I
where the
don't
money's
know.
at."
We'll take the lead from the Pentagon.
Oh my gosh,
We'll just follow their lead.
I love you guys. But yeah, so
Again, where's the accountability?
where's the accountability? I mean,
Non-existent.
we read these articles week after week after week, and it's like we all just keep living our lives, and nobody's doing a darn thing about it.
That's because the average person is so under thumb right now
Yeah,
that they
Truly.
can't focus on anything but what's right in front of them.
truly. You know,
And it's like it's almost by design.
I have this conversation
it's
with
not
people
by
every
design.
single day. Every single day, we talk about how hard it is for them to live life, just, you know, doing what they're doing. They have children, they have, you know, things that they need to attend to. They want to have faith in those that are leading our country,
But how can you
and you
when
can't.
like when you're doing stuff like that? You can't. Like you can't.
Life is getting more and more concerning every day, gentlemen.
Not for those who have their head in the sand.
True. Ignorance is bliss. Moving forward, because I really don't know where else we can go with this conversation. Russia is halting grain deal in what UN calls blow to the needy people everywhere. So Russia halted participation on Monday in the year-old UN brokered deal that lets Ukraine export grain through the Black Sea, causing concern in poorer countries that price rises will put food out of reach. Hours earlier, a blast knocked out Russia's bridge to Crimea in what Moscow called a strike by Ukraine sea drones, killing 2 people. At least they did better than remember the drone in Moscow? Pow. Moscow said it was a terrorist attack on the road bridge, a major artery for Russian troops in Ukraine. The Kremlin said there was no link between the attack and its decision to suspend the grain deal over what it called a failure to meet its demands to implement a parallel agreement easing rules of it for its own food and fertilizer exports. Unfortunately, the part of these Black Sea agreements concerning Russia has not been implemented so far, so its effect is terminated. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres signaled that Russia's withdrawal meant that the related pact to assist Russia's grain and fertilizer exports was also terminated. Today's decision by the Russian Federation will strike a blow to people in need everywhere, he told reporters. Moscow said it would consider rejoining the grain deal if it saw concrete results on its demand, but that it guarantees for the safety of navigation would meanwhile be revoked. In Washington, the White House said Russia's suspension of the pact will worsen food security and harm millions, and the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken called it unconscionable. Unconscionable. Impact could be profound in Africa. So Ukraine and Russia are some of the world's biggest exporters of grain and other foodstuffs, and any interruption could drive food prices across the globe. I don't know how we would survive, said Halima Hussein, a mother of 5 living in a crowded camp in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, for people displaced by years of failed rains and violence. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky raised the prospect of resuming grain exports without Russia's participation, suggesting Kyiv would seek Turkey's support to effectively negate the Russian de facto blockade imposed last year. Ukraine, the UN, and Turkey together can ensure the operation of a food corridor and vessel inspections, Zelensky said in his nightly video message, saying the world has the opportunity to show that blackmail is not allowed. We must ensure security protection from Russia's madness. And basically, so talk a little bit here. Ukrainian forces have been striking Russian supply lines as it pursues a counteroffensive to drive Russian forces out of its south and east. On Monday, it reported 2 more civilians killed by Russian forces, which it said had begun a major push into the northeast. For 2 days running, the enemy has been actively on the offensive in the Kupinsk sector in Kharkiv region, where defending heavy fighting is going on and the positions of both sides change dynamically several times a day. In the Lyman Kupiansk sector, the enemy has concentrated a very powerful grouping, more than 100,000 personnel, more than 900 tanks, more than 555 artillery systems, and 370 multiple launch rocket systems. That is a lot. Reuters has not been able to verify the accounts, and there was no immediate comment from Russia. The blast on the road bridge to Crimea could limit Moscow's ability to supply its troops in southern Ukraine, although Russian President Vladimir Putin said the bridge had not been used for military transports for a long time. Partial road traffic had been restored, Russian Deputy Prime Minister Marit Kushelin said on Telegram. So, just skip down here a little bit. Russia has extended the Black Sea deal 3 times despite repeated threats to quit. It suspended participation after an attack on its fleet by seaborne Ukrainian drones in October, leading to a few days when Ukraine, Turkey, and United Nations kept exports going without Moscow. Any resumption of shipments without Russia's blessing would probably depend on ensuers. Industry sources told Reuters they were studying whether to freeze their coverage. So,
Jeez.
That's a lot of violence, a lot to stop the supply chain, and wow.
I just have one question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Week after week, we kind of update on what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and Europe. But where do you guys see all of this going? What is this leading up to? I mean,
Forever war.
when I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel week after week reading about Russia and Ukraine. I just don't know.
I don't believe there's going to be any line or the sight of relief. I don't know if there will be, like you said, maybe a forever war where it's literally just going to keep being money thrown at each side to continue to see who can last the longest war of attrition.
Yeah,
just
and
keep
is the
going.
U.S. taxpayer just going to be like an endless pit?
I guess.
Sounds that way.
I mean, that's
Looking
how it
that way.
feels. Yeah,
Feeling that way.
and it's getting a little ridiculous that we're getting dragged into this as taxpayers without our opinion. Don't get me wrong, again, I want the freedom for Ukraine, I really do, but when we're at a point where we're exhausting
Funding this
all
war
of our taxpayer money,
because the NATO's and UN and NATO countries
What are they
not
doing?
funding it near as much as
exactly,
And all those countries in Europe that they are getting affected more than we are over here in the United States,
And
and
we're-
we have spent so
Way
much
more
more money
money.
than they have.
it makes no sense. I can't put 2 and 2 together. I can't. I don't understand.
Yeah, where's the balance of support?
well. See, this is one
In
of
the
those
call for
times
peace.
when
It's a
algebra
great
comes
question.
into play, because 2 and 2 not all the time equal 4. It could be 2.7 plus 2.
Because that's what it's looking like. Gentlemen, I don't know what to say on this one anymore.
If you're gonna have the mission statement of Russia, you're not gonna just come into this country and take it over. Okay, that's fine, but let's have a balance of support. You have all these countries equally supporting this country, and just
Right.
basically saying, Russia, just turn around and go the other way. It's not going to end well for you, but also we need to be pushing for peace talks. Like I've said last week,
yeah,
Whoa, and I
let's
saw
sit
something recently.
down and figure this thing out instead of just people dying week after week.
And I saw something recently that was talking about Ukraine's really pushing to become a part of NATO now.
yeah.
And,
They
I
had the
mean,
NATO convention.
Immediately, if they join NATO, this war continues. It drags the rest of.
Yeah. So it was an interesting thought, though, with the coup that just happened, obviously against Putin, with a lot of scrutiny against him. I would almost say if we did allow Ukraine to join NATO, I don't see Putin continuing this war. I almost feel like he'd be like, you know what? It's not worth it at this point. He's already losing the faith of his people. and they're
think
looking to
so?
overthrow him. Maybe.
Or do you think that pushes them to nuclear weapons?
Or it pushes him to the nuclear side, but I still believe there would be an overthrow before we could even get to him. I don't know,
Maybe.
though. I don't know, though.
I mean, they were letting the Wagner group just like march through Russia.
How many times have we seen, I hate to say this, how many times have we seen, the United States be a big player in trying to allow a democratic system be induced into a country when we're trying to, eliminate the leadership they already have? If they were looking to do something like that, now would be the perfect time to let Ukraine join NATO. But I don't know what's going on in their heads. Obviously, I'm not there. I have no idea. I have no say. But I guess there's two different ways you can put this into perspective. You either allow them to join NATO and they potentially back off, or it causes World War III. Oh,
Comment on YouTube.
look at that. We have a comment on YouTube. Look at that. Nick Moyers. Agree with what Stu says, no light at the end of the tunnel, but JP Morgan and BlackRock have already promised a rebuild bank to be set up after the war, but who knows if Ukraine keeps control of it all. That's funny too, right? So that's another thing we were talking about was BlackRock. We looked at that last week, kind of talked a little bit about OMG, the O'Keefe Media Group, going undercover and finding an associate that works for BlackRock. Sergey, can't remember his last name. I screwed this up last week as well. But you look at that gentleman, and he talks about how easy it is to buy a senator. He says, 10 grand could buy a senator. If I offer you $500,000, are you going to say no? Hell no, you're not going to say no. Those kind of things. So looking at BlackRock and I know BlackRock's the one big one, and the other one, Vanguard, is a huge one. They have majority stock in a lot of the major companies here around the world, whether it be Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, whatever. So, yeah, that is a scary situation, Nick. You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and unfortunately, we will just continue to cover it for as long as it takes, but hopefully the American people eventually start to straighten up, because again, until the American consumer actually understands the kind of influence that they have on the economy itself, nothing's ever going to change.
Nope.
I mean, again, when you go back to the civil rights movement, what helped get African Americans their freedom? Literally boycotting businesses, not spending money, and finding a movement with other Caucasian individuals who jumped in this as well. Now these companies were like, crap, we're feeling it in our pockets. The government's like, crap, we're feeling it in our pockets. We obviously have to change, and that's when the civil rights movement made a huge, well, really it happened when Martin Luther King got assassinated, and then there was riots, but...
Well, I mean, it just goes to show that the strongest vote that you can make is with your pocket.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is.
If everybody stopped watching Netflix, if everybody canceled their Netflix subscription, what is Netflix?
Nothing. It literally dies.
Exactly. It literally is gone.
So, I mean, whether you agree or disagree with Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch, you saw what boycotts can do.
Yeah.
I mean, they have completely 180'd.
If I'm not mistaken, Bud Light's not even. I don't think Costco is going to be carrying them anymore because they're not seeing profit on it. I think they're throwing away. I think they're throwing away too much inventory. I've heard. So I don't know how true it is. I'd have to do the research.
Seen Anheuser-Busch just like completely 180 and start. Have you seen some of the commercials and stuff they're putting out now? It's all back to the good old boy stuff. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Oh man, what were those commercials? It was yeah. Real man, how do they go? Yeah, real man, a genius. Yeah, it's crazy how they've done a complete 180 when they tried going along with like the social issues. They saw how it backfired on them, and they're like, okay, well let's go backwards. It doesn't work like that, but
get the Clydesdales out.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on this, gentlemen?
We got some comments again.
Oh, more comments. I love more comments. I'm not seeing them personally. Where are they
They're
at?
up here on the TV.
Well, what the hell? Right there on TV. We'd make a huge enemy out of Russia and China if we do allow them to join NATO.
Sure.
I wouldn't necessarily be mad at that because I think it would completely reverse all of our manufacturing that we have going on in China and allow American manufacturing to open up like a freaking freight train. And that would be a good thing, in my opinion, because, again, I believe in self-sufficiency, and I'm tired of using slave labor over in China. But that's just my thoughts.
Woo! Hot take.
Hot take. Unfortunately, a lot of private sectors in all of these countries involve profit off the war machine, and keeping it going will keep pockets filled. Sad situation for Ukraine, but all countries involved. I mean, yeah, the military-industrial complex is going to continue to,
Real thing.
yeah. I mean, it's just going to continue to throw coal into the steam engine, right? Like
Ukraine is just a pawn right now.
that's all they are. They're just using their country as another way of cycling money through it. So it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that human lives are getting affected. Again, nobody cares about human lives. Like,
No,
our
doesn't seem that
politicians
way.
clearly
Doesn't seem that way at all.
doesn't
And then
care.
how much of that money is actually being funneled back to politicians, to vice presidents?
I don't know. The Pentagon can't keep up.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, seriously, like, that's how much of that money is actually being funneled back through like nonprofits or something like that, or just different agencies in Ukraine, funneled back to different senators, different people in positions of power that then take that as a bribe almost.
Yep.
I mean, it's insane. One thing that this whole Biden whistleblower thing is kind of showing us is that even people in the highest positions of power can be bought off. And
Same with the Supreme Court, the SCOTUS
the
judges.
Supreme Court, BlackRock, official coming out and saying it's cheap to buy a senator. I mean, $10,000 to a company who has 22 trillion in assets
It's
is
nothing. Yeah.
That is nothing.
That's not even like looking
That
under
is
your
less-
couch.
that is less than pennies
Yeah.
that you have in your
It's
piggy bank.
scrounging under the couch or whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Like, if you find one penny, that penny is worth more to you as an average person than $10,000 is to.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Do have another comment that came up here. So Nick also asked, any thoughts on an upcoming presidential election and how much of the candidates' stances on gender and other social issues that have recently come into society will affect the voting? Unfortunately, we have a whole new generation that is able to vote.
Yep.
I will
I
say,
wouldn't say unfortunately. Say fortunate.
well, fortunately, let me rephrase that. Fortunately, we have a whole new generation that can vote now.
How that generation
How
votes?
that generation votes could be unfortunate or fortunate,
Who
right?
knows?
We won't know, but so societal issues are going to continue to play probably the biggest part in that. I don't see people like, again, you're
You might
older.
see a populist uprising though,
maybe, but
because
like your
the-
older
the next
generation,
generation, change one.
yeah,
So,
they're
and it's no fault of theirs. I mean, they just grew up in an age where unlimited information was literally at their fingertips.
but it's also affected their psyche so much. I don't know how it's going to play into it.
Agreed.
Yeah, because that's
But
the scary
Like
part.
I said, it's not their fault necessarily.
No, not at all. Not their fault at all. It's honestly
It's
part of
actually-
the parents.
Exes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and millennials at this point are starting to make an impact. Like that millennials are starting to
old
turn
enough?
in.
I guess the 45 good kid that's 20.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the millennial age is now raising children as well, and they're coming up into the next generation after this one. So it's like it just keeps cycling, and sooner or later a generation is gonna have to break the cycle.
Yep.
I don't see the next generation, and I could be completely off base. This is just a thought. I don't see the next generation caring as much about the economy as they do social issues.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So like that's
Well,
just
the
my
thing
thought.
is
though.
because the next generation understands that they can just profit massively off YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't care about manufacturing. They don't care about jobs. They don't care about things like that because they don't ever have to have them. I
Yeah.
mean, the number of like 16, 17, and 18-year-olds that are out there that are just caking money off of YouTube videos and TikTok videos and all that stuff, just being an influencer is through the roof.
Yeah, which is wild because only so many people can influence.
That's what you think.
And that's what you think, right? So I mean, it's
If you can garner 100,000 people, if you can influence 100,000 people, you can make a full-time income.
Yeah. I would like to think that sooner or later, we're going to start breaking into the next generation that'll care about American manufacturing. But here's the thing. If this, and again, this could play in a good way. If the next generation cares about these societal issues, they'll look at places like China and be like, that's slave labor. We don't want that there. We want people
if
here
that
in America
information is
working.
able to get out. So that's why you need to tune into the
Fact
Fact Is podcast.
I love
'Cause
that.
That's where you're going to get accurate information. You're also going to get unbiased information. And we do our best to try to uncover everything.
Yep. So I absolutely love it. Any other thoughts, gentlemen?
I don't think so. Why don't you take us away? We've been on this one for an hour and 32 minutes.
Hour and 32 minutes. Good one to get back on, Love it. So
It's good to be back.
all facts. I have a feeling this election will be one for the books. Enjoyed the podcast tonight while I was at work, boys. Got to hit the road, but keep up the good work. Appreciate you, Nick. Thank you for coming by. Can't thank you enough for that. To anybody on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, thank you all so much for joining in tonight. We had a pretty good following coming out. This episode. We had it across multiple different platforms, so thank you all so much.
But just remember, if you're not liking, commenting, sharing, and following, are you really engaging with the Fact Is podcast?
You heard the man. You heard the man.
Just say it. And we appreciate everybody's support, everybody tuning in, everybody commenting, everybody who's interacting. Thank you so much for coming out and just being a part of this. This is why we keep doing it.
And anybody who's going to watch this after the fact. I know some people say they can't keep up with it on the day, so they'll come and watch it the day after. So thank you to all those who participate in that sense as well. But at 132 episodes, we would like to thank everyone from the Fact Is to thank all the military personnel, active duty and retired, law enforcement, fire and rescue, doctors, nurses, paramedics, hospital staff, farmers. Thank you all for feeding us. I love food. Those in American manufacturing, those in social work taking care of the U.S. citizens, especially those healthcare, specialists, mental health counselors, psychiatrists. You all do fantastic. Thank you. And ethical congressional representatives. Ethical. So yeah, with that being said, like we
Almost
said
an
here,
oxymoron.
with the fact is, we ask that you all share this with everybody you love, but we also ask that you share this with people you don't agree with, because we here at the Fact Is believe that we all have more in common than what we don't. So please make sure you're sharing this with anyone and everyone. We are just looking to get around and be able to provide information for people and have open, honest discourse. So with all that being said, thank you all for joining us for the 132nd episode of The Fact Is. We were your host, Nath Moses.
And I'm Ryan Mays.
And we will see you all 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. Stu Mo, you got anything left to say?
Try to get involved as much as you can in your local communities and be nice to people just for the sake of being nice.
What a great way to end it. Oh, and keep up with all the socials over the next 2 weeks, because like I said, we will have a hiatus next week. Please make sure you all are keeping up with all of our socials, and we will officially be back in August 2nd. So see you all then. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you all then.
Peace.